Hello crafters and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Deepa from Designs by D and I welcome you to the Watercolor Wonders video hop by Altenew. Now this hop is showcasing all of the gorgeous products from the Mint Gardener release released this month, and this collaboration is with Sarah Simon. So all of these gorgeous products are ideal for use with watercolors. I didn't actually use that today, but we'll go through what I did. Now again, there is a giveaway, $300 in total prizes, so don't forget to comment down below. I will give you a special emoji to comment with later on in the video, so do pay attention to what that emoji is when you comment in order to be entered to win. So these are all of the products that I got from this release. You can see these are some gorgeous ones, perfect for watercoloring. I'm going to be using this one. Now this is the Peony Lilac Swag stamp set, coordinating die, and coordinating stencils. Now I love that they have the stencils, so you can choose if you're not really a watercolorist. You could actually use the stencils to ink blend, which is what I'm going to do today. But as you noticed, I'm using some Altenew or Artistry by Altenew watercolor cold press paper or cardstock there, and that's just to kind of give that artsy and watercolor feel. And you'll notice that the texture actually looks really nice with the ink blending, and you don't have to use watercolor paper for watercolor all the time. I love the texture in it, and it gives you such a nice effect in the end. Now if you wanted to get a faux watercolor effect, you could kind of go over your ink with water brush, and that would kind of move the ink a little bit on that watercolor paper and give it more of a watercolor feel, which was what I initially planned to do, but it looked so gorgeous just ink blended in the end that I just left it alone. So I did show you there while I was talking that this stamp, it doesn't fully fit within the Altenew stamp wheel. So I've got another stamp platform here, and I use this one to stamp out my image. I did kind of cut off a little bit of the edge there. That's okay because this floral image is large. I mean, look at it. I've taken the grip mat out of the stamp wheel and it fits on it, but it pretty much goes edge to edge. So it's pretty large, probably like 7.5, like the size of that, the well for the stamp wheel. And as you can see, I did stamp it out with an ink that is watercolor safe. So if you do choose to watercolor it or to activate the ink and create a watercolor feel, you're not going to smudge your lines up. But as I said, I didn't end up doing that. But I am going to use the stencils to add a bunch of inks to this design. Now, if you actually look on the panel that I have to the left, it shows you, you know this, for all of the Altenew products, they have a layering guide or a stencil guide within the package contents. And if you look at that sample there, it doesn't even use the lines, which I think is a real gorgeous look that you could do with these stencils. So I'm starting out with some reds. I had picked a few, I kind of showed you there. I think one was mahogany bark. I've got the redwood and toasted mauve because I really wanted like deep reds, but this is looking more brown. So I actually went and I grabbed velvet. So this is like the darkest color from one of the red families. And I also got rhodolite there. So the rhodolite is Altenew has their ink families. They also have a couple sets of inks which are super light tones and really dark tones. This is the set with the really dark tones, and the rhodolite is a really deep red. So now that I put that on there, I can see it has more of a reddish tinge, but it just wasn't enough for me. So then I went and I grabbed my velvet ink and I kind of reddened up that flower. So I wanted to choose like rich tones with like a muted type green because I thought just it looked really elegant. So I really deepened the center portions of the openings for those petals, and then out towards the edge I've made it more red. So now I've grabbed some I think I'm going to stick with that, so the rhodolite and the velvet and the redwood in order just to darken up that flower. Now for the purples, I've got cosmic berry, plum, and grape agate. The cosmic berry brings in like a really nice purple color, while the grape agate and the plum, I don't think I ended up using the grape agate. I just used the plum and the cosmic berry, and the plum just darkens the bottom just like we did on the red flower. So you'll notice that I am lining up the stencils and I am sort of picking and choosing. So one stencil. For example, this is the second one. I do go in order. There are 4 stencils total. And wherever there's like that little curve mark there at the bottom, it means that that has to be kind of rotated and placed somewhere else. And if you're familiar with the stencils, you know all of this. But I am like reserving the reds for the top flower and the purples for the bottom flower. So I don't really do any masking to ensure that I don't mix the colors, but if you feel that that mixing might occur because the wells or like the openings of that stencil are pretty close, you might want to mask off each flower as you do it. Now I do want to mention that remember we're using watercolor paper. So cold press watercolor paper by Artistry by Altenew. I really love this stuff. But it is going to absorb more of your ink. And by absorbing more of your ink, it actually makes your image more vibrant, which is what I really like, rather than sitting on top of the paper as it would any other paper or cardstock. So you're gonna have to add a bit more ink to get a really bright color, and then on top of that you'll notice that the lighter edges kind of pick up more of that texture more and just look really pretty. So now it looks like I've got most of that flower done. I just kind of have to finish off the flower portion, the red and the purple, and now I've got more of the other portions of the outer flowers showing. So I'll continue with the red and the purple. Now you'll notice that the flowers, they kind of look like, I don't know what you would call them, but they have more of like a pointy look and they have a lot more texture to them. Those I'm going to use Morning Frost. I want it to have like a light grayish color because I really want the focal point of this Peony and Lilac Swag. Oh, it's the lilac. There we go. It's the lilac. So I really want the 2 main peonies to steal the show, right? So I'm going to keep those nice and vibrant, and then the lilac I'm going to make that morning mist, so it's got like a grayish beigeish tone to it, and I'm going to put it on there very lightly. And then same with the extra little flowers sticking out on the ends, I'm just going to use baby pink and just put it on again very lightly, just a light pink, a light brushing of color, just to add a little bit there. But I really, like I said, want them to be a bit more bland in color compared to the peonies. So I've kind of got that done there, and you can see how light those lilacs and the extra little flowers on the edges are. Very, very light brushing of ink. So now I'll finish off this final peony, and then it's all about the leaves. And the leaves, as I mentioned, I wanted to use more of a muted tone. And I found that the line of inks where we have fern forest, eucalyptus, jade, and silver sage, kind of, they have more of a muted tone to me, particularly the eucalyptus. So these are the fresh dye inks, not the crisp dye ink. So their formulation is a little different. I don't actually know what the difference is, so do be careful if you do have the round fresh dye ink, so the round ink pads versus the oval ones. The oval ones are crisp dye ink, the round ones are fresh dye ink, and the ink formulation is different. So don't mix the inks, because I know that they have overlapping colors. You don't want to mix those re-inkers there. I've always wondered about it, and I just kind of figured that out lately, so I thought I'd mention it. Now, for the leaves, as I mentioned, I'm going to be using Mossy Granite and Eucalyptus. Now, Mossy Granite is one of the ink pads that Altenew has been coming out on a monthly basis for their monthly promos. So these are inks that if you pay attention to the Altenew advertising, you will see that you could possibly get some of these free. So do go ahead and look into that. But the Mossy Granite is from one of those releases from a couple months back, and it has a nice like yellowy green tone to it, which helps with that muted tone that I'm going for. So I'm adding the eucalyptus and then the Mossy Granite towards the bottom, eucalyptus more towards the top, and I just want the two-tone of color to help with that watercolor look. Now, as I mentioned, once you're done with this, you can take a water brush and kind of go over it to give it that watercolor feel. I feel like I want to try this I'll post it on my channel later on, because I really want to see what it looks like and look at the two in comparison. So now I've just got the card base. So this is just a simple A2 size card base. It is top folding, and I'm using the red wood to create just a little bit of a hazy background. So I'm adding the ink with an ink blending tool, and I'm kind of concentrating the darkest bits on like the corners and the top and the bottom edge, and just a little bit on the side edges, just so that, you know, the deeper colors are on the edges and it kind of draws your eye in towards the center, which is going to be our focal point, right? Now for our sentiment, I'm going to grab the Spread Kindness sentiment from the same stamp set. It's got a gorgeous font to it. I'm just going to stamp it out with some black ink here, and I will stamp it by hand. And again, I'm stamping it on what's left over of the watercolor cardstock. So I die cut out that the Peony and Lilac Swag piece, but I did want to stay consistent with the cardstock for at least the pieces that are to stand out, which include the sentiment and the focal point. So I'm cutting this piece down now. I want a nice strip that's thick enough that you can see the sentiment well, but not too thick that you're covering that Peony and Lilac Swag. Now I've got the Pink Brilliance glitter cardstock set, and I'm using the Rhodolite color again. This cardstock is simply gorgeous. I absolutely love it. It is so pretty. I love the deep colors, and then the shine just makes it stand out a little more. Anyways, so I went ahead and cut 2 little strips, and I'm adding it to either side of the sentiment just to kind of give it a more finished look. It looks a lot better once I've added it, and that's how I'll add it to my card. So let's go ahead and assemble this card. I'm going to attach the main focal point, this piece here, with some foam adhesive. Now you'll notice that it's large, right? So this is an A2 size card. Parts are going to be hanging off. You could leave those overhanging bits and then put this card in a larger envelope, but I decided that I was just going to cut them off, especially since that one leaf I kind of cut off already, right? So I'll go ahead and cut off the overhanging bits here. And there is a portion there which has those smaller flowers. I did kind of take that and put that in the background to create like a bit more depth. So I just attached it to the card base without any foam, so that gives like a background, and then the foreground is the Peony and Lilac Swag. And now I'm adding the sentiment strip with some foam adhesive as well. Now I miscalculated this, so I used the foam and I didn't think, and I have foam underneath the Peony and Lilac Swag. So I have like 2 layers of foam in the center, and then on the edges, you'll see here I'm lifting it up. I don't have the 2 layers. So I'm going to just go grab some smaller foam squares and just kind of stick them underneath to create that second layer so that that sentiment is laying flat. If I didn't do this, it would kind of bend and bulge in the center, and that doesn't really look nice, right? So this puts it all on one level. Now, once that's done, I went ahead and grabbed the Altenew Gem Sparkles. This is the red jasper, and it's got these gorgeous deep red gems, which I just thought went with the Rhodolite that I used in this on the glitter cardstock and within the Peony. So it just went together really well. And then my final touch here, using some Nouveau Dream Drops. The centers of the flowers, I couldn't get them yellow. I could have used the Altenew pigment ink and kind of just added ink to that, but I decided that this would just have like a nice feel, and when this dries it actually just has like a shiny gold look, so it looks perfect for the little anthers of the center of the peony. And then I got a little carried away and added a bit more of that to the flowers along the edges there. And that's my final card for you today. So that special emoji I want you to post is a flower. Any flower. Post any emoji flower, and that will be your entry into the giveaway. So I hope that you've liked this video today and something here piques your interest. Don't forget to check out the collection on the Altenew website. There's a link down below along with all of the other information that you may need. Hope you guys have a great day and have a fun time hopping. Bye.